congruence in right triangles. Okay. Now I give you two examples of ways that, or I'll give you two examples just for one new theorem that we're going to be learning, which is the hypotenuse leg, which is the hypotenuse and the leg congruent triangle theorem. And this one is not really new, but this new theorem will probably make you confused, right? Because we're going to be relating this to the past two lessons of lesson on side, angle, angle, and angle, side. Okay. So be careful of just answering this just hypotenuse leg. So that's why I'm just giving you the example. For this one here is we have a right angle once again. Right angle. Since we have a right angle, we have a right triangle on both, on triangle number 1 and triangle number 2. So here we have a 90-degree. We know that these two are both congruent. How do we know they're both congruent? Because they both have the value of a 90-degree. We can state that these two sides are congruent. I'll just put here. My first pair of congruent angles are the right angles. My second pair of congruent angles are the given angles are here using the arc marks. And here is a congruent side. You can also say hypotenuse, but you only say hypotenuse if it's useful to the theorem, right? This is also known as the hypotenuse because it's the opposite side of the right angle. But try to name it the hypotenuse if you're using it with purpose, right? Right now, here, does it look like we're going to be using the hypotenuse leg theorem? But again, the hypotenuse leg theorem is you need a hypotenuse leg congruent triangle theorem is an hypotenuse and another side, or also known as a leg, be corresponding and congruent in both triangles. Okay, you need hypotenuse and you need a leg with congruence. Looking at this diagram here, do you have a leg or a side that will be also congruent to the hypotenuse? Okay. Here, the short leg here, if you see it here, they're not congruent. It's not given that they're congruent. See the long leg here. Though you can say that they're reflexive, but they're not. You're not given that they're sharing the same side. They're both separate, right? So you cannot prove that these two sides are congruent as well. So since these two sides are not congruent and these two sides are not congruent, then naming this hypotenuse for the hypotenuse leg is kind of not necessary, right? You can use this as an angle, and use this as a side. So now we're going to prove y is triangle number 1, congruent to triangle number 2. Now we get here. So here, if you follow the pattern, once again, it cannot, the answer is actually number 3, angle, side. Why can it not be number 2? Why? Because here, when you see, look at the both of the two pairs of congruent angles, you need to look at in between them, right? In between the two angles, is there a congruent side? The answer is no, there's no congruent side. So the answer cannot be angle, side, angle, right? Angle, side, angle cannot be angle, side, angle because these two sides are not congruent. Okay. So if you look at the pattern here, it's angle, side, angle, side. Okay. Once again, we're just practicing more. Here, this is two congruent triangles because of the angle, side, congruent triangle theorem. I'm just putting AAS because the answer is already on the board or on the multiple choice. Okay. Next one here we're going to be doing is this question here. So now here I kind of am requiring you once again. You need to draw, right? So for you to draw, I want you to draw it separately. Yeah. So here, what we're sure of is we can state that these two sides are congruent, right? These two sides are congruent. How do I know they're congruent? Because they share the same side from JH. JH will be congruent to JH due to the, once again, reflexive property of congruency. So here, I'll just leave it up to you first. Okay, I'm not gonna explain more. I just gave you enough permission, right, to state why are the two triangles congruent, right? Doing something inside. So, okay, here, majority of you answered D, hypotenuse-like, but we're still, once again, we're still half-half on the side angle side. So here, this one here is, once again, it cannot be the side angle side. Why can it not be the side angle side? If you ignore this angle here, I know that they're both congruent, so but you should ignore it. Look at the two sides here, right? Or here on the left side, look at the two angles here. That's corresponding to these two sides here, right? So you're just looking at triangle number one. The angle, for it to be a side angle side, the angle has to be on angle J has to be congruent to angle H. Why? Because for it to be the angle side angle, right, it will be side angle side, and this will be the side angle side, right? But here, the two angle J is not congruent to angle H. So since this angles are not congruent, then it cannot be the side angle side. It could be, once again, we have to prove it first. It could be the hypotenuse leg, but first we have to see, is this the hypotenuse, right? It might not even be the hypotenuse leg, right? That's why we're going to try to prove it. The hypotenuse is what congruent. How do I know this is the hypotenuse? Because it's the opposite side of the right angle. And then I know that the side, or also known as a leg, also we can name that as a side, right? Since I know these two sides are congruent as well, and you know that hypotenuse is congruent in a right triangle. Once again, you can only have an hypotenuse only if you have a right angle. Okay. So if the hypotenuse and the side or leg is congruent, then these two triangles are of triangles. Triangles J, G, H is congruent to triangles J, H, H, K, J, H, K are congruent to each other due to the hypotenuse leg theorem. Once again, I'm only putting HL because the answer is right there on the multiple choice. Okay, so we're gonna do this one here. We have only thing I'm gonna teach brand new here is here I can prove that angle these two pairs of angles are congruent. How do I know this pair are congruent? Because of the arc marks here. I know that these sides are congruent. But again, you can call it an hypotenuse if you want, right? But you don't have to. You can just name it a side or an hypotenuse. Depends on how you want to use it, right? Is adding more letters going to confuse you? Maybe, right? So I'm going to erase that a little bit. Okay. I got confused looking at it. So I'm just going to put an S per side, right? And then here, the last fact I'm going to give you is that there's another second pair of congruent angles, which is the angle here. These two angles are congruent. How do I know they're congruent? Because these two angles are vertical angles. Which vertical angles are where two straight lines are intersecting, the opposite angles are congruent. Since I know this is 90, I know that this will also be a 90, or it's a right angle, it's a right angle as well. Okay. So with this information, okay, we're gonna do it again. The polls. What do you think is the answer? You answered more on number 3, angle side, but can it be also side angle side? Let's try to prove it right. Once again, for it to be, let's try to go back on that. So here, triangles. Triangle number 1 is congruent to triangle number 2. Here, the two last answers that we had was the angle side, and the side angle side. Yes? Yeah, it's all done. I'm sorry. I'll be back. Someone was saying something. Okay, so now here, it cannot be side angle side. The reason why it cannot be side angle side, because why? Here you need two pairs of congruent sides, right? Side number 1 and side number 2, right? Two pairs, right? Sides of number 1 and the second pair of side number 2, right? So here you only see one pair, right? That's one here. We can't find the second side, right? Here we look at the long leg, it's not there. If we look at the short leg here as well. It's not congruent. So we cannot say that it's side angle side due to not enough information, right? These two sides are not congruent. These two pairs of corresponding sides are not congruent. These two pairs of corresponding sides are not congruent. Answer is angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. It's terrible because I really have an example for angle, angle, side. Answer is angle, angle, side. Yeah. Congruent, triangles, zero. Okay. Don't worry, we still have more examples. So here we got another example. Once again, I want you to draw it, right? And the sides are congruent is these two sides here. You can label them. Here, angle number 1 is congruent, right? And side number 1 here is both congruent. And you can also say they're reflexive here. Why? Because two triangles share the same side. So you can see that these two sides are congruent, right? So this is side number 2. Is this the hypotenuse though? No, it cannot be the hypotenuse. Why? Because the hypotenuse is these two. But since you know the hypotenuse is not congruent, then we're not gonna begin. So the answer for this one is number. A lot majority have answered number 4. Nice. So the answer is number 4. Why can it not be the hypotenuse leg? Because here you need the hypotenuse to be congruent. Hypotenuse once again is opposite side of the right angle. Are the hypotenuse congruent? No. So if you know the hypotenuse is not congruent, then the two triangles are not congruent due to the hypotenuse leg. They are congruent to the side angle side. Congruent triangles theorem. Once again, let's just explain why, right? Let's look at one of the triangles here. You have two sides, you have one pair of sides, and you have the second pair of sides on one triangle. And you see this, the pair of congruent angles is in between the two pairs of congruent sides, right? So when you read the pattern, it will be side angle side. Here, once again, you look at the second triangle. This is two pairs that are congruent of sides, and you have a pair of angle that's also congruent. That's in between the two pairs of sides, right? That are congruent. If you read the pattern, you can also read it as side angle side as well. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Let's do through. I have one more. Okay. Okay. Second to the last question here. Once again, it's a lot better to just draw it, right? That's what I require you to do. Make sure you draw each triangle. If you don't, then you don't get credit for it. That's how I'm going to be grading this assignment. Only because it's getting a little bit more crucial when you're showing your work, because a lot of you can just automatically just guess, right? At this point, there's so many choices you can just guess. So here, the right angle is congruent. Yes. Angle number 1. You see angle 1 is congruent, one pair. And here you know that it's opposite side of the right angle. So we can just say a side, right? Side 1 is congruent. Or we can also say, not the side 1, but we can say the hypotenuse is also congruent, right? Whichever you want to use it. You want to use side 1, you want to use hypotenuse, it's really up to you which one you want to use. So here, do I have enough information to state that these two triangles are congruent? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, here, the reason why this is a right angle here is because you're asking why this is a right angle. The reason why this is a right angle is because this is a linear pair, right? What's a linear pair? A linear pair is if you have a straight angle. Thank you for asking that. You have a straight angle. What's the value of a straight angle? The value of a straight angle is 180 degrees, right? Since you have two angles here, you have one angle that's 90 degrees. And what's the value of the other side of the angle is also 90 degrees. Why? Because 90. And here I can put 90 plus 180, this will also be 90. So whenever you see a straight angle, if this is 90 degrees, then you can assume, or you can conclude that this is also a right angle, also 90 degrees. 90 equals to 180. Okay. Hope that's helpful. Thank you for asking that question, though. So now here we have one right angle, we have a second right angle. Okay, we got this 90 degree once again because of a linear pair or a straight angle. And we also can conclude that since these two triangles share the same side, you can say that AB or DB is congruent to DB. DB segment DB is congruent to segment DB because why they're the same segment. Okay. So now here, once again, if you want to show your work, it's either you draw it, that's the first method. The second method is you write the statements down, right? You write down the statements that segment AB is congruent to segment. What's that? Oh, sorry, this is a C. Segment CB. Yeah. Why? Because of the tick marks. And here you can say that angle D is congruent to angle D. But don't forget that this angle D has the ray of DA. And this angle D has the ray DB as well. And it'll be congruent to angle D here. How do I know the congruent? Once again, a straight angle. This 90, then the adjacent angle is also going to be 90. Because 90 plus 90 equals to 180. Okay. So this angle D will equal to 90 degrees because of a straight angle or linear pair. And you name this is angle D with the ray of DC and the ray of DB. And I know the congruent because of a linear pair, or you can say straight angle, whichever you want to say. And the last segment that's congruent is DB is congruent to DB. How do I know the congruence? It's because of they share the same side here. So I can say that they're congruent due to the reflexive property of congruency. Okay. With that pre-information, right, that gives me the point that I have one pair of angles that's congruent. I have another pair of sides that's congruent due to the tick mark. And I also have another pair of sides that are congruent, right? Because of the reflexive property of congruency. So now with that information, how do I know that triangles A, B, B will be congruent to triangles B, C, D? Realize that it's not angle side angle and also not angle angle side. So the answer is in between hypotenuse leg congruent triangle theorem, or is it the side angle side? Okay. Once again, you can automatically prove that it's not the side angle side. Reason why is because when you look at in between the two sides of triangle number one, right? Angle B is supposed to be congruent to its other pair of angle B here on the triangle number two, right? So you can follow the side angle side the congruent triangle theorem. If you look at the first one too here, it'll follow the pattern once again. Side angle side. Since the angle in between the two sides are not congruent, then you cannot use the side angle side, right? Here you have the once again hypotenuse that is both congruent. How do I know this hypotenuse once again? Maybe the hypotenuse or a side based if you have a right angle, right? Only if you have a right angle, call it the hypotenuse. If you don't have a right angle, then it's not called the hypotenuse. And you know that these two sides are congruent because of the reflexive. Or you can also name, not just name this as a side, but you can also name this as a leg, right? Whichever you want to call it. So you know that the hypotenuse is congruent and the side is also congruent, or also known as a leg. is congruent, then you can prove that these two triangles are congruent due to the hypotenuse, leg, let me write that in blue, hypotenuse, leg, congruent, triangles, theorem. Okay. I'm going to make the video hopefully tonight, or if you don't have the chance, you can rewatch the video through the online sessions. You can review all the recordings and you can view what we did today. Okay, good job. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for participating.